On the daily this morning, Nigerians encourage corruption, says Judgement of the Punch newspaper.
David Mark says needs to be adjourned.
Alleges Nigerian Governors Forum calls for Okonjo
Senator
Iweala's
David Mark
resignation.
says new PDP.
Page 2 of the Punch newspaper. The dailies every day on Core TV News.
Our top story, the People's Democratic Party
Governors of states
from a
controlled
heavy
by
state
law
This Prime Minister Recep Tayyip
The
Erdogan
People's Democratic Party has
All
called
progressive
on
countries
Nigerians in
replies
Hello and welcome to News Judgment. I am Frank Omalape. On this program, what we do specifically is to analyze headlines, of course, news breaking around the social media. It could be the news. Early today in our bulletin, a lot of news were breaking and, of course, very interesting stories here. That's exactly what we want to do, trying to analyze and to carve headlines for tomorrow's dailies, giving a direction of how the trends is actually going, talking about the new things breaking right now. And to do this, especially who has been there all the while, is Dan Alo, a news editor and in-house analyst. Thank you for being part of the program again.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad to do this once more with you.
Now, let's quickly take a look at some of the breaking stories earlier this evening. Of course, reports say that some of the abducted girls have been taken, are believed to have been taken to neighboring states like Cameroon and Chad. And in another related issue, House of Rep also have summoned 7 chiefs, which included the Naval Chief of Staff, Army Chief, and of course they also included in that those that were supposed to appear before the House of Rep were also Chief of Defense Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, and of course the Chief of Air Staff as well. These were some of the related development that happened earlier today rather, and some of these we're going to be taking a look. And again, Mohammed is in the news. We'll give you all of that as we analyze these stories ahead of tomorrow's dailies. Dan, let's begin with this story. The abducted girls, of course, stories breaking, flying around, is that they have believed to have been taken to the neighboring country, Chad and Cameroon. Now, if we have to promo or to give it a prominent, to give it a face for tomorrow's direction, or according to the judgment you will give it, what exactly and why will you give it the front page headlines tomorrow?
I have always emphasized right here on this table that the lives of those girls is very important to us as a nation. As it is, we should have declared days of national mourning to count the days which these girls have been abducted and to continue to work to ensure their safety return back home. And what we are seeing is that we have seen people reacting, we have seen several protests, we have seen people talking, but we need all of this talk and protest to translate into action by the government, who has the power, the firepower to fight terror, to fight insurgents who abducted them and bring them back, rescue them from their abductors and bring them back home. And that's our prayer. So just like since the day it happened, the story has been enjoying prominence on the front page of newspapers. This one will not be an exception. Tomorrow you will still find this story leading some newspaper or being the second lead of some newspapers or major newspapers in Nigeria, as it were.
And again, it's becoming worrisome because as yesterday we heard that the location was surrounded by the army, and today we're now hearing that they've been taken to Chad. Now, this is becoming worrisome, really.
Yeah.
Now, as a result of this situation, now, do you also think that by tomorrow we expect to see a different angle to this story?
The military knowledge, the little military knowledge that I have in, in reading, and then that we were given during my youth service, shows that when you fight with guns, the kind of fight you fight will not be more than the kind of talk you talk. Every fiercest war, all of the fiercest war that has ever taken place in human history had always ended on the round table. So I believe that the military surrounding where those insurgents are is not the solution. The solution is they have our children with them. They can use these kids as shield. They can kill them. We don't want that. What we want is the safety of those children. We want them to return back home safe. So if the military surrounds the place, well, fine. But now they should strategically negotiate the freedom of those children. And that is what we pray for. So, well, if they say they are in Chad, if they say they are in Cameroon, wherever they may be, we are interested in their return back home. So any other thing, any other story, any other move that they want to make, any strategy they want to use, let them use. But our prayer, our ultimate prayer, is that those children should return back home alive and safe.
Because the follow-up to that story is the fact that the House of Representatives have also invited service chiefs, of course, very important when you talk about security, to come and explain on exactly what they are doing to rescue these abducted girls as well. This is also in another debate.
Well, that is their own constitutional role. Nobody is going to come and start holding biro and be writing and doing my own job. That is my own job. That's my contribution to the society. That's what puts food on my table. What puts food on their own table is the security of lives and property within the country. You know, and they must be seen as doing this at all times. Otherwise, they will be failing in their responsibility. So they must try as much as possible to make sure that they at all times be seen as doing or performing their constitutional role. And so if the reps have called them to come and explain what they have done over time, well, I feel it is the right thing to do. I feel they should always be at alert to their responsibility. And then they will be our hero if these girls are rescued and reunited with their families once more.
So we expect to see that on the front page of the daily.
Absolutely, absolutely. That goes to the front page as well. No editor in the world will talk that story of that importance in the newspaper. Rather, it's going to be on the front page with a good promo.
Okay, let's move away quickly from that right now and take a look at the reports earlier today. Says that President Goodluck Jonathan fires Mohammed Alhaji Ahmed Gulag, who is, I beg your pardon, Ahmed Gulag, who is a special advisor to the president on political matters. Now, the one interesting thing is that this was announced on the special advisor to the president on the media and publicity, talking about public affairs, Ruben Abati, on his Twitter account.
Well,
now if you're to promote it, why will you promote it? But this is very interesting.
Wherever it is announced, it's a media or a medium for information dissemination. Do you understand? So the information has been passed. The man has been relieved of his duty as special advisor to the president of political matters. It shows you that we're in the season of politics. One, it shows you that 2015 is not going to be easy for those around the president. He will re-strategize. Half loyalty or suspicion will not be allowed at this time. And that's the truth, because we're playing politics, and then everybody must be 100% committed at this time. For any African leader at that, you know, when you talk about our leaders in this country, slightest mistake will bring about opportunists trying to unseat you. And so Well, for Gulak, the president has thanked him. He told him that he has served very well. So it is time to give another person an opportunity to serve the president in that capacity. And so we wish him well in his future endeavor.
Dan, I'm looking at this story to be the major for all the dailies maybe slamming this particular story.
Of course.
As one of the
Gulak is a very important personality in the presidency.
Because
if you recall,
speculations all over that,
anything that happens, yes, anything that happens with the president
for 2015.
Yes, anything that happens with the president or political matters, and I don't see any issue that is much more in the front burner in the presidency than politics at this moment. You find Gulak making statements, even on behalf of the president. So his role is very important. And for him to have been relieved of his duty at this material time shows you that the road to 2015 or the road ahead may not that be rosy.
The road ahead may not be rosy, according to Dan Alo. But we quickly move on to the next story right now. Again, Mohammed Abacha is in the news again. This time around, report says that he refused to show up in court over 446 billion naira theft.
Well, the truth of the matter is, his father stole and plundered Nigeria's wealth. Now, this fellow, after being shown compassion by the Nigerian state, find its way to go and, before Nigerian government, take some monies that were stolen by the father, some seized funds from international agencies amounting to over 446 billion. Well, I will not blame the young man. I will blame the Nigerian government for failing to monitor those funds and getting the funds before an unauthorized individual got it. However, if this man is in the country, he cannot be bigger than the law. So what says that he cannot be arrested? Why do we need to wait? Why are we waiting for him to dictate the pace to us when he will come to appear?
His counsel said
he is ill.
Said
That's what they have been saying,
okay,
that he's ill.
Ruben Atabo said that he couldn't come because
he
was ill.
That's
if you will leave, what page of the newspaper will you put this if you were to
this
give it a direction?
This is another front page story. The volume of the money stolen from Nigeria is so much in a country where people wake up hungry, in a country where people wake up without a naira in their pocket, in a country where we have been adjudged, averagely to live below $1 per day. I mean, his non-appearance speaks volume, and the amount involved in this fraud, in this theft, is so much that can put, our electricity together. It can put our roads together. So we need this money at this time. And if I were in government, or if I were the Nigerian government, I would make sure that all hands are on deck to get justice in this case and make this young man forfeit what he had stolen from Nigerian government.
So to be a good story to promo on the second page or on the third page?
It has been in the news. This is a follow-up, and I think it's about 5-6 paragraphs to say he didn't appear in court. So we can promo it on the front page and talk it in the second page. And have the details in the second page.
Okay, all right, let's move on quickly right now. This again, of course, the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnic, it's in the news again, and of course the College of Education Academic Staff Union also in the news again over strike, but this time they were protesting and they were tear gassed by the Nigerian police.
I don't know what the problem is with Nyesom Wike, the Minister of Education, with unions in universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. I still cannot fathom why the minister cannot properly live in peace with all these individuals.
Okay.
And I want to feel that something should be done in the direction of trying to make sure that peace reign in these our universities, our polytechnics, our colleges of education. Because if you look at it, I think they met a couple of days back, and then the minister was full of threats. And they were insisting that their six months old or 9 months old strike, as it were, will continue. And they carried out the protest only for them to be pelted with tear gas and water cannons, and some of them got injured. This is not the way to treat your workers. This is not welfare. And so this story will enjoy the second page sub-lead because of its importance and because of the unfairness to our teachers. Without them, our tertiary institutions will be non-existent. It's a very important story as well.
Okay, let's move on to the next one now. This one says earlier today, this went breaking. A very important a report by a non-government organization now on a state of security in Nigeria. And the report, the survey shows that 76% were asking for an extension of state of emergency on Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. Now, and of course, 76% again were also saying it shouldn't be extended, especially those that were from that region were saying it should be suspended at this time. Now, what importance will you give to this type of headlines?
State of emergency, abduction, terror attack, insurgency in the northeast has been a major item in our news bulletin. And so you cannot remove this story from the front page. However, it is important to mention here that there is no substitute for democratically elected institutions in all of these states. I have mentioned here once that I do not have any apology for condemning state of emergency by a civilian administration. It is wrong, it is not welcome, it does not develop democracy, and it is alien to democracy. And I believe that if we continue like this, we will be disrespecting democratic institutions, and it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous in the sense that it can bring about a collapse of democracy completely. A civilian government should not be suspending a civilian government from power, from performing his obligation to his people. So the truth of the matter is, I do not support any state of emergency anywhere in the country, and for no reason, and I do not support the extension. It will be very, very wrong.
Okay. All right, let's move on away from that now. Let's quickly look at this before we go on a break. This is very interesting now. The judge that preside over, the Minister of Petroleum, the Zani Alison Madwiki, the follow-up says the first time, she came out, reacting to the allegation that he actually stopped the probe. He asked the House of Rep to stop the probe. Now the follow-up story is that they have refused to stop the probe of Alison Madwiki. Of course, as at yesterday, the Minister of Petroleum appeared before House of Rep explaining how they spend that amount of money, about 10 billion in servicing a charter jet. But this time around, let's look at this story critically, and why will you promote it either on the front page or the second page?
Justice Ramat Mohammed was embarrassed by the reports in the dailies saying that the court stopped Rep's probe into the Zani Alison Madwiki's jet scandal. The truth of the matter is that the judge said he never at any point in time granted such an order, and that anybody who says that should produce what the papers of the court says, and whoever issued that paper, because he is sure it's not from his court. This is an embarrassment, and this sends a message to our colleagues. They should not be cheap instrument in the hands of politicians and people in authority. I mean, somebody must have sponsored those kind of stories and those kind of propagandas that was flying around so easily to make, the news.
So now that she has come out to say, okay, no, we are not stopping the probe of Alison Madueke. Do we expect to see that story in the first page or the second page?
Yes, for me, it will be a promo on the first page, because we have had so much of this jet scandal, this 10 billion. There is no new dimension to it other than she went to court to make an attempt to stop her from being probed or appearing before the reps. So I promote it on the first page, I talk it on the second page.
Okay, let's quickly go on a short break. We'll come back and take a look at a few headlines here, and then we'll wrap up for today. We'll be back after this time out.
Core TV News, expanding your view.
Nice to have you back on News Judgment. This time, quickly, members of the All Progressive Congress in Ebonyi State, of course, have most of them, the aggrieved member, came out protesting against the last Congress in that state, accusing the committee chairman of falsifying a result. Now, let's quickly take a look at this. What page do we expect to see this tomorrow, and what direction will it give it quickly?
Well, this is a lead for the political page. Now, the problem of APC has been on for a while, and then we find out that most of the things that is happening, controversy have trailed their congresses, the state congresses and world congresses, and it's continuing like that.
Okay.
Well, for me, it's an important story as well, because it is dictating the future of APC. The future of APC is being seen with all of these things that is happening, and so it goes to the political page and it takes a lead.
Okay, it goes to the political page, and of course taking the lead there. And just a teaser for you: federal government has declared May 1 as the public holiday, and of course, a mystery helicopter landed in Enugu Government House, and that has caused a panic among the members of the house, running, scampering for safety.
Well,
that's very still.
For the security situation in the country, if you find a strange helicopter landing where it ought not to land, the best thing for you is to take off. And so that's what they did.
Also happened.
That's what they did, and they saw that it was only 2 pilots and then the engineer that was inside. Well, for me, those people have been arrested. They will explain why they flew their helicopter into that
Without
region.
Permission.
Yes, into that region. So it just shows you the case of insecurity and how everybody is afraid in the country. So the government needs to do more to instill confidence in us as a people, so that we can stay in our country in peace and be happy.
Well, so that we can stay in our country in peace and be happy. That's the last word on today's program, coming from Dan Alo, the news editor and in-house analyst. Thank you very much for being here all through.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you as well.
And that's much we can take today on News Judgment. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
The top story. The People's Democratic Party
Governors of states
from a
controlled
home
by
state in
law.
This Prime Minister Recep Tayyip
The
Erdogan
People's Democratic Party has
All
called
progressive
Nigerians irresponsible.
The top story. The People's Democratic
Governors
Party
of